Hey Leo, welcome to Key Wisdom. My name is Ruth. I'm your Reiki Master, Tarot Reader. And this, my darlings, is a reading for this time period. Happy birthday, I will say, because it is my mummy's birthday in a couple of days, and it's my brother's birthday in a couple of days, and obviously they are also Leos. So I think I usually forget to say happy birthday, but happy birthday. So my darlings, we're going to look at the format is going to be the same as I always like to do, which is our Sun, Moon and Stars format, which is actions and experiences for this time period. In the first row. In the second row, we have what's beneath the surface, what's hidden. And in the third row, we'll have our star section of the reading, which is what's going to come ahead, like what will be ahead of us as we continue on this path. Okay. So, my darlings, I hope you're well. Focus, interesting. I just did Aries. Yours is different. It's deep, man. Deep stuff, mate. Coming up now. Deep rumblings. Deep rumblings. Oh, I mean, it's honestly, such a spiritually charged time. Actually, this time period is looking deep. This is really deep healing stuff that's coming up. Really deep healing stuff that's coming up for you guys. We start with the 7. This was in Aries' reading as well. Somewhere in the spread. I don't know where it was, but it was somewhere in there. You. What this represented for them is the delusional consciousness. Now, do you know what? I knew I would end up doing this. So you've got eight different here it is, 8 different consciousnesses. There are 8 different consciousnesses. So we have the 8 aggregates of consciousness. So the aggregates of consciousness are made up of these different consciousnesses, and these are them all. Okay, so you've got the groundable consciousness, deluded consciousness or delusional consciousness, mental consciousness, visual, auditory, olfactory, which is your nose and your mouth, obviously, gustatory, which is your gut, your gut, and tactile, so touching. Now, the interesting thing is in that reading that usually the sword energy represents our mental consciousness usually. So our mental consciousness that's basically what everyone else thinks, basically. That's consciousness, and everyone else thinks that all the other stuff is basically your subconscious. It's not true, but you'd call everything else the subconscious. The mental consciousness is the thing that you think. The stuff that you think, your ideas, your ability to decide stuff, blah, 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 blah. But it's the same thing in this reading as well. The same thing in this reading when I'm feeling this energy. As I said, usually I tell you, I said to the Aries, usually I tell you, Aries, that this energy is about your, we're sort of lying to ourselves. So we don't, it's like saying, oh, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. Oh, everything's great. At the beginning of COVID, and we were all really, really scared. That would be usually what this energy represents. You're telling yourself and you're telling everyone, the world, that you're fine, but actually deep down you're really not fine. That's what this energy would usually represent. However, and it could for some of you. For some of you it could actually. For some of you it could. For some of you, you could be doing that actually. You could be having doubts, concerns, worries, nerves about something, but telling yourself, no, everything's fine. I'm fine. There's nothing to worry about. I'm fine. However, for some of you, I keep saying us, I'm not a, what are you, Leos? I'm not a Leo, but still, for some of us, and similar, I feel like I got with the other reading, it's your deluded consciousness or your delusional consciousness. Now, your delusional consciousness is, I won't read it all because it's basically the I part of you, the ego part of you, the me. So it's a bit that tells you that I'm an individual person, okay? And that's obviously a delusion. So don't get me into it because I'll be here all day. But it is, trust. So our delusional consciousness tells us that we are separate from each other, that we're separate, that we're all separate entities and separate beings. But why I think this is a very spiritual time for you is because that delusion is being shifted. So it's like the compassion, it's like the growth of empathy, the growth of compassion. It's like for you understanding how this other person feels, understanding why that something may have happened from another person's point of view. It's as if the delusions are being shattered for some reason. It's as if, which is good. It's as if we're closer to understanding each other, closer to understanding ourselves. There's that type of energy that's going on for you. Let's actually have a look at your cards because we've not even started yet. So we've got the 10 of Swords, the King of Pentacles, the 8 of Swords, and the Hermit energy. So interesting. So sword energy, I've talked about sword energy. I've told you about your consciousness. So mental consciousness, sometimes it's just easier to read. So mental consciousness, that's your thoughts, the experience of your senses, the active part of our consciousness that we have control over, how we experience our reality. This is really what the sword energy represents. It represents how we experience our reality, how we think about it, where we put our attention. That's the sword energy. And when we get the number 10 here, what we see is with the number 10 here, we see there's a opportunity for a new beginning with the number 10. And what that means is obviously there's an opportunity, there's an ending. So always an ending comes before a beginning, doesn't it? Always something has to die before it can be reborn. Something has to be changed from one thing to another. So it's transformative, this energy. So it's really about transforming your thinking, transforming your ideas, transforming your beliefs, transforming what your dispositions are, what you would usually think, what you would usually believe. There's a change going on here in that. There's a change going on in your mindset. What's also happening though is that this change is only coming about because of your increase of awareness, increase in self-awareness, increase in engaging with yourself consciously. That's why this change is coming about. This is what I'm seeing here. I'm just going to skip over to these two cards because I feel like I need to do that. We have the 8, we have 8, 9, 10, basically 8, 9, 10. So we've got the 8 of Swords, 9 Hermit, 10. So this is what it, whenever we have a sequence numbers, even though it's all mixed up, whenever we have a sequence of numbers, what we know is that steps along a path. That's actually definitive steps. And that means that it's going to be changes, and it means that it's going to be changes to your consciousness, changes to your understanding, changes to how you think about yourself, how you think about something else, whatever it is. You know what consciousness means now. It's those changes that are going to be marked and different for you over this time period. So for example, you might start on the 1st of August thinking one way, and then by the end of August you think something very different. So when we see these definite steps, it means that the change gonna come. You know, I like to say that. Don't know why I say it in an American accent, but I always do. Anyway, I digress. So we have this change thoughts, change ideas, the opportunity for thinking new, thinking differently. But what has to come before that is the release, and the release has to come. The release comes with awareness, right? We can only take the second step if we know where we're at now, if we know where we're standing now. This is what these two energies next to each other represent. You know what this is representing. This is 8, so this is our karmic, our cycles, okay, our cycles. So the karma family lives for us to have our lessons, to be aware. The lessons are about our awareness. It's about increasing our awareness. It's about engaging with the truth of our mundane experiences and the suffering that we go through. And the suffering can be very overt suffering, you know, someone's hitting you or whatever. It could be overt suffering. You live in poverty, blah blah blah. But it could be but the suffering, even if it's not overt, even if it can't be seen by others outwardly, everyone suffers. So it's like, for example, inner turmoil. It's like, for example, having to hide parts of who you are, having to hide yourself, not speaking up, for example, because for whatever reason. These are the things that live in our, people would say subconscious. It's not subconscious, it's your mental consciousness, but that lives in you, and you have these ideas and hold these ideas. This is showing me that the way that you think about yourself, you're stuck in a way of thinking about yourself, a cycle of thinking that you get lost in sometimes. You don't realize even that you don't even hear some of the things that you tell yourself, or you haven't up until now. This is the time where we start to hear the stuff that we've been telling ourselves, the stuff that you've been saying to yourself, the stuff that you've been feeding yourself, if you will. And we have this hermit energy here, Virgo's energy, very diligent energy, but it's all about beneath the surface. Whenever we have earth energy, always know that it's long-standing. Earth energy always represents things that are long-standing, things that have been with experience for a long time. And they could also, if we see earth energy, also manifest in physical ways. So when you have a physical ailment, you might have a bad back, for example, or a sore foot, for example. You know, if you're somebody who has a repeated sort of twinge in this part of the back, or twinge in this, or headaches, or migraines, etc., I would say to you, I would get some Reiki meditation going, do some Reiki meditation, or look online for a map, if you will, a map of the what's called acupuncture, the body, so you can see the different part, and you'll be able to see how the energy centers in your body do manifest themselves physically. Anyway, I digress. So we have the hermit energy here, so we know that this is the active engagement with your consciousness. This is what it is. It's like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna look and I'm gonna see what I feel. I'm gonna spend some time just sitting with myself, just looking at the thoughts that go through my brain, just looking at them, just checking them out, just seeing what type of stuff I'm thinking. That's what the hermit does. Yeah, so we're engaging consciously with what's going on in my head. Yeah, mindfulness is, I always say mindfulness is a temperance card, right? That's a temperance card, because with that, we're in the moment. And in that moment, we can know how we feel. We can hear what we're thinking. We can respond to what we're noticing, etc., etc. This is different. This is going, right, do you know what? There's something here, I need to find out what that is. And we go in and we look and we see, right, well, what's there in the brain? And we don't judge it. We just look at it. We just shine a light on it. That's what you're doing. So it's really helping you to transform your beliefs about yourself, or what you think. It's different. It's interesting, because your thoughts and your feelings are different, are separate. Obviously, we know this, but what I'm saying to you is there is a digression between them. It's like separate. It's as if you're a very, like my mum, very lovely, strong, confident, beautiful, loving, wonderful person. I'm describing my mother, of course. That's how that's in your heart, in your soul, that's you. But in your head, and I feel sad even saying it, because it's like my mum, I talk to my mum, don't you worry, I tell her. It's like my mum saying in her head, she feels that way, she feels how she is, she knows that she's a good, honest, hardworking, lovely, wonderful, compassionate person, right? But it's like in her head, she's just like, oh, you're useless, you're a waste of space, you're a piece of bleep, you're no good, you're worthless, no one's going to look after you, no one's going to care about you. It's like in your head, that's going on, right? But it's like this month, it's like, do you know what, yeah? I'm starting to hear that stuff coming out. It's like, what's going on here? Let me just have a look at this. Let me shine this light in there now and see where this is all coming from in my head. That is what is happening. So what it means is we transform the awareness, the shining the light on these way that we think about yourself. That is what's helping you to stop thinking that way about yourself. Amen. Hallelujah. Let's praise this. So we come to the King of Pentacles. Now, King of Pentacles, Capricorn's energy. I'm a Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo as well, obviously. So earth energy. So remember, we've got earth. All we've got is earth and sword here. So this is showing long-standing, even without looking at the numbers, mate. It's long-standing mental constructs, long-standing ways of thinking about yourself that are fixed, that have been fixed, yeah? That you might not be aware of up until this point, yeah? Those are the things that we're becoming aware of now. And it's that the energy and the effort that we're putting into understanding that's helping us to feel confident, that's helping us to move confident, that's helping us to think more clearly, the awareness is what's coming in. It's the awareness what's coming in. You know, I'm not thinking about what's coming after this. Yeah, this is about now for you to come into the awareness of, this is how I think about myself. Even though in my heart, in my soul, I know that I'm a good, honest, compassionate, lovely, wonderful, wonderful person. In my head, I'm telling myself I'm a piece of rubbish, I'm worthless, I'm not good, blah, 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 blah. It's the awareness of that those two elements, dispositions, ideas exist in your mind and in your body and in your person. It's the awareness of that that's coming through for you over this time period. Okay, let's move on now to the, what's this called? This is the moon energy. So this is what's beneath the surface, what's hidden. Look at this. This is what I'm telling you, people. We're ready. Deeply spiritual time always comes after the retrograde season. Always, always, always. We have this deeply spiritual time because the things that we've been learning, and you didn't know that you were doing it, but you were doing it. Some of you did know that you were doing it, but you were doing it because we always do it during retrograde season. It's natural. We're going in our bodies and we're working out how we feel, and it's all going on beneath the surface. I always tell you, change happens from within. It doesn't happen from without, it happens from within, and it's that change from within that actually transforms our actions outside and transforms our reality and the things that we're doing. Okay, it's a very deeply spiritual time for you, for us all, and we have this Ace of Cups, which is showing that beneath the surface there is this new emotional beginning. Love. This is what you're feeling. You see, love is like I'm gonna try to give you what is in my head right now, because I've seen this in love before and it's beautiful, right? Everything is darkness, no light, nowhere, darkness, everything darkness. And then just here, a crack, just a crack of light, just a crack. Light, force, pushes. That's love. That's what love does. Love is awareness. Love is seeing all. Love is no secrets from yourself, no secrets from your mind, no hidden thought processes, no hidden fears. That's love. And that light shines through, and it just, once you feel it, once you see that little speck, there's no darkness anymore. Because that darkness, all the darkness, no matter how far that darkness spreads, the light will get there. That's what love is, right? And that's how you're feeling. It's like, oh, that opens you up. I can feel it. Opening up. And we've got the Ace of Cups and we've got the Lover's card. And listen, I hope my brother's not watching this, but let me just tell you this, right? I'm speaking to my mum. I said to her, Mum, I said, I know what's going on with you. I said, I know. I said, I read tarot, Mum. I said, tell me what's going on. What? Anyway, all I'll say to you, this does not surprise me for me mum. So some of you might be having some new romantic feelings, shall we say. And again, sometimes it's so good. It's just so good to just feel, to just allow ourselves to feel. Oh, to think about, to desire, to fantasize, to enjoy. Because that's what brings in light. Allowing ourselves to feel that love, that joy, that bliss, that happiness that we feel when from whatever reason. It could be a person, could be somebody else in your life, could be romance, but there's a light in your life that's bringing in more, that just brings in light everywhere, love everywhere. We have the Ace of Cups. We call this emotional new beginnings, as you know, because we know that I've said about number one. It's about, number one is the initiation, right? And if you think about what I said to you, there's 8 consciousness, there's 8 different types of consciousness, and the first one, the groundable consciousness. Now, the groundable consciousness is, hello, Tiny. The groundable consciousness is basically where the imprint of all experiences that have ever happened That's where it sits. It lives in the ground of consciousness. So, and we all have access to the same stuff. No, it's not differentiated for anyone else. So that means that if someone has been hurt, heartbroken, the universe holds that vibrational frequency of the heartbreak, if you will, and then you can feel that. So we all know what it feels like to be heartbroken. We all know what it's like to be lied to, etc., etc. Groundable consciousness, right? So think about this as the ground of all. Think about the Ace of Cups as the ground of all love, all that feeling of love. It's like that's all the headiness. It's very heady, this energy. It's very, it really is when you've experienced it. I'm a Reiki master, as I always say, so I experience these energies like for real. And even in fact yesterday I was having a bit of this, and I just kind of let it happen. I'm mindfulness. No one else was here in my house with me, whatever, but anyway, this is a beautiful feeling to feel, and I'm sort of I'm going like that now. I'm doing what you're going to be doing. You're going to be giddy, because the awareness is what brings in this happiness for you. The awareness is what brings in this light for you, this love for you. So for some of you, being able to break free from that way of thinking about yourself is such a liberating. You feel so happy and bright because of that, because you're liberated. Some of you could be feeling wanting love, wanting romance. Yeah, it could be about other people as well, for sure. And for some of you, definitely is actually. But the thinking is the thing. The awareness is the thing that is changing, that is shifting your experiences. Then we have the just one fire, the Five of Wands. I was thinking about this card yesterday, and I was thinking about this card, and this is the card of friction. Now remember what happens, when you did science very young at school, or something like that, and you know what friction happens. So you know what's happening right now to my hands. What's happening to my hands? They're getting warm. Now, if I had, I don't know, 2 sticks, I tried that once on a camping trip at school, and I could not. They just ended up giving us a fire lighter. But anyway, we had to build a fire, and we had to light the fire with the sticks, right? Anyway, as I said, the teachers just took pity. It did start raining, so they just gave us a matching end and let us light it. And we didn't have the flint. They literally gave us 2 sticks, right? Anyway, you know how fast you've got to rub 2 sticks together? But what happens? So what happens when you have friction? When you have friction, you get the heat, you get the, and eventually get combustion, won't you? Yeah. This is what goes on inside. That friction is what goes on inside. That's what this energy represents. So this is not all these people arguing. Yes, it can be eventually, but what it is inside. It's you noticing these hard edges, feeling these ways of thinking about yourself, recognizing that you're not doing this, or you think that, and that thought's at odds with this feeling, and why do I still hold on to that if I don't like this person anymore, and why am I still attached to that, and I let this bother me, and and it's that friction that's happening beneath the surface that ultimately leads to that, lights that fire. Really, again, that awareness. It's the awareness that lights that fire, that brings about that change, that brings about this rebirth. You are actively, this month, over this time period, you are actively engaging with it. You go in, I'm not going to just turn away from it now. I'm looking at it because I want it to end the way that I think about myself. I'm not this horrible person. I'm not worthless. I'm not, I shouldn't, that's not how I deserve to be treated. I am better, blah, 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 blah. That's the transition. And ultimately, people talk about this can be conflict, and it can. Remember though, that awareness can cause conflict, right? Because all your life you've been sat there, nice little wifey, being all like, oh yeah, I'm glad for what I've got. And now you're like, do you know what? Yeah. Like, why am I being treated like this? I'm being treated like this because it's not about that person treat me this way. It's because I have been telling myself that that's all I'm good for. Well, hang on a minute, no more. That's let me tell him straight. That's why it could eventually cause friction. But that friction is beneath the surface. This energy is beneath the surface. So this is good. So what we're having is, listen, I don't want you to you come to me, you say, Ruth, I left me, I'm not telling anybody that this means leave your husband, leave your job, leave your wife, blah, 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 move to another country. I'm not telling you that that's what this means, yeah? This is the experience. I'm telling you only the experience, and I'm giving you examples, but I'm saying to you, If you come to me and say, oh, Ruth, I'm all sad, or Tiny's here, so you better be listening up for this message. Hello, Tiny. Right. If you come to me at the end of this time period and you say, Ruth, I'm all sad. Oh, my gosh, you know, I listened and I did this and the energy came and I ended up leaving my husband or leaving my job or blah, blah, blah. Right. That's what you're going to tell me. I'm going to say to you, well, what do you look at these cards then? And you tell me what you should have done. You might be worried, love, but this is where you're meant to be. This is the path beneath your feet, which is working for you. Don't be fooled by your mental constructs, by the reality that you created for yourself. Your reality, in your reality, you're a worthless piece of nothing in your reality, and we all know that ain't true. So let's not be judging like that, yeah? We've got to experience our life. We've got to have our experiences, and we've got to engage with what we're experiencing, right? That's what you're doing. And the actions that you take, let's have a look, because it's coming here. We're going to see what's going to happen as we move forward. They're leading you to where you need to be. That's all you need to know. And that's what we can see with this. Awareness is always the way forward. Okay, let's have a look. Hanged Man. High Priestess. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying, people? This is what I'm saying. Hanged Man, High Priestess, the World card, Six of Pentacles. Now, you may be, as I said, this is you, man, doubting yourself, potentially doubting yourself, like telling yourself no when you feel it's a yes. You know, as I said, groundable consciousness, we all know the truth. We all know what the truth feels like. We all know what the truth sounds like, whatever it is we're talking about. Yeah. So don't be telling me that you don't know the truth. You can think what you want, love. You can think whatever you want, but the truth is the truth is the truth, and you feel it. We all feel it. Remember, groundable consciousness, and it ain't no different for me than it is for you. So when it's now coming to these times where you are doubting yourself, am I doing the right thing? You feel and you know what's right for you, what's good for you. Regardless of how it looks on the surface, you feel it, you know it. That's what you should be trusting. We have the Hanged Man here. The Hanged Man, number 3. I mean, do you know what, this Hanged Man? I kind of have a feeling about this guy, you know. He's not a guy, he's not a man. This is the divine masculine being asked to take a seat. That's what this is. The divine masculine is the part of you that's always doing. So it's the part of us that goes out and does stuff and takes actions and has conversations and thinks things actively. That's the divine masculine of us all. Okay, we decide, we make decisions, we come up with decisions. But look, the Hanged Man is doing nothing. Who else who's in charge here? The divine feminine. The divine feminine is in charge here, and the divine feminine actually allows you, and in fact that's 2 and 3. In fact, look, 2, 3, another 3. Anyway, the divine feminine is like, do you know what? Take a seat. This means don't go doing stuff, mate. This is what I was getting that feeling of. It's like, it's not about going out and doing stuff. It's about the awareness. That's what this time period's about. It's about looking what's going on in your head and feeling what's going on in your body and becoming aware of yourself fully, more fully. That's what this time period is about for you. And so it's not really about being active necessarily. You know, my mum is on lockdown right now because, you know, some parts of the country is on lockdown and she's in part of the country that's on lockdown. So that's great. So I can't see my mum. But anyway, can't go to her house. Anyway, but this is like saying, do you know what? And you've got the Hermit here. So it's like, do you know what? Just listen. This is about what's in your head, babe. What's in your heart, babe? What's in your soul, babe? That's what this time period is about. It's about understanding that. And even if, you know, you're on lockdown and you hate being on lockdown, you know, and you feel it's the right place for you to be right now, because this is what's bringing in your awareness and increasing your intuition. Intuition, you know, we call intuition, and it's a real thing, intuition. But mindfulness, intuition is actually called discriminative awareness. Now, discriminative awareness, basically, if you look it up in a don't look it up in the dictionary because it won't tell you what it means, but it won't be in a dictionary. Look it up in a proper Buddhist, in Buddhist literature. It will tell you that discriminative awareness is the ability to basically identify, categorize, and evaluate whether it's something we should fear, whether there is something that's a threat. That's the word I'm looking for. Blimey, it took me ages to get there. So we can categorize, we can evaluate. So basically what that is it's like being able to do that. Discriminative awareness, you can do that without thinking. You don't need to think all the time. People think you've got to think. That's just mental consciousness. That's just one part of 8 of consciousnesses, babe. Like, there's a lot more going on in our consciousness, right? This is like knowing. That's what I'm saying. Knowing. It's having that discriminative awareness. It's knowing whether or not something's a threat to you, knowing whether or not, just instantly, almost, it seems instinctual. It seems like it's instinct. It's like, how do I know that? It seems magical. It's not magical. It seems magical, but it's not. It's just mindfulness. As they always say, it's not magic, it's mindfulness. And you're getting a real taste of mindfulness this month, actually, or over this time period. You're getting a real taste of mindfulness. And I say amen, hallelujah to that one, because mindfulness is, as I said, mindfulness, awareness, enlightenment, growth, expansion, healing, liberation. That's all what we're all after. So this is where we're at with the High Priestess. And then you get, so this is what you're feeling. So as I said, even if you are stuck at home, like my mum might be, you know, stuck at home thinking, or you're separate from people or whatever, your car is broken down, you can't go to work, whatever, even if that's happening, and you're in your head, oh, I should be working, you're one of those people, oh, I'm working all the time, gotta work all the time, work, doing stuff all the blooming time. Take a seat, don't be doing nothing, yeah, and allow that wisdom to come through, allow that awareness to help to change your fortunes going forward, to help to change what your experience is going forward. That's what we get. And you do that, clearly. You do that because we have the world card, which is about a brand new path, brand new karma, brand new experiences, brand new energy coming in for you. But because of this, it really is like the change is quite swift for you. It's as if profound changes in your mindset, profound changes in your perspective, profound changes in your, what's it called, how you feel about yourself, or how you feel about your past experiences. It's like profound changes coming through for you, profound changes. And again, it's not as if you've got to kind of do anything to bring those changes apart from sit and listen. That's it. Sit and listen to yourself. And what we mean by listen is listen to what's going on in your head, and what you're feeling emotionally, and you know, what foods are you drawn to, and what places are you drawn to, and do you want peace and quiet and light and dark, or whatever. That responding to yourself, that listening to yourself, listening to what your body wants, what your mind needs, what your soul needs, what your heart needs. It's that, just listening over this time period, because that's actually going to bring about new experiences for you. And which is what the world card represents, new experiences. 21 new experiences. And finally we've got the 6 of Pentacles. We had 6 here, and we had a 6 and a 6 here. Swords and Wands for the previous fire sign, for what was it, for Aries. And you know, 6 is a number really of balance. Yes, we know balance, but it's more than balance. It's harmony. It's comfort, it's refuge, it's a place of safety, and you arrive at this place of safety, of this refuge. You find comfort in this place of safety and refuge after all the stuff that you've done already up to this point, if that makes sense. So by the end of this time period, or moving on from this time period, you feel, they call this card the reciprocity, given, you know, you get back what you put in, but it's really a card of refuge, it's really a card of comfort. So yeah, it could be that, you know, you felt like you didn't have enough, and now you feel like you've got more, or whatever. But you know, Pentacles energy, where we put our energy and effort in order to manifest security. So this is manifested security. That's what this is. It's feeling secure, it's feeling that refuge, you know, whether that's financially or in a relationship or whatever or not. But really, that security in your mind is what is coming through the strongest for me. That sort of clarity, and I want to do this. What am I doing? Supported. You feel supported. You feel buoyant. You feel strengthened. You feel more sure of yourself. More sure of yourself because of this increased awareness that you go through. So yeah, this time period, you know, my mum, she's the most gregarious. I mean, I'm gregarious. When I was at university, I live in Leeds. I went to, I still live in Leeds, and I went to university in Leeds, and my mum and my brother, you know, they'd ring me every day, or not every day, every week, and you know, what you doing? You know, I'm like, oh, I'm just off out. I'm just off to pub with my friends. I'm just going here. I'm just off to work in a part-time job. Just off to work there, and then I'm going out with this and that. And at one point, I had 2 jobs, and I was never in or out with that. But my mother, she worked until we're the youngest. Me and my twin sister, we're the youngest of 8, and she worked until we finished university, and then she was like, I'm retiring. So she retired early, and I tell you what, she's never in. I'm like, what are you doing? Well, I'm here, I'm there, I'm doing my teaching. She does choir, she does the church, she's in a group in Manchester for our tribe. So my tribe, if you will, were my heritage Nigerian, and the Urobo tribe, not the Yoruba, Urobo tribe. And she does they have like a group. Oh, so she does talks about she does the drums. Oh my God, she's never in. Anyway, she's gonna be in over this time period. And maybe some of you, but you feel that this is where you should be right now, and you're gonna feel so much, you know, it's like this in you. It's like this is in my hands is my brain, and I feel like the brain, like if you felt like your brain was like, I'm doing this shaky, you know, like if you felt like you weren't secure, like you didn't have a grip on a full hold on your mental health, for example. If you felt like that up until this point, during this time period and after this time period, your brain is support that. I know that sounds like a strange, but that's what I'm feeling. This is what I'm feeling. It's like your brain is secure. Your way of thinking about yourself is secure now. This is what's changing. That delusion that you are unstable mentally, for example, that delusion that you are, for example, this is the last thing, because I need to go, because I need to got one more to do. When I said one of 8, and I've always, when I was little, all my way through my life, knew that I was sensitive, right? But I didn't know that sensitive was a thing. When you're young, you don't know that there's things like tarot readers or, you know, mindfulness. You don't know those things, right? So you're just living your life. So we lived in this big house when we were growing up, and it had an attic and a cellar, our house, and our rooms were like here, and then there was like a door to the attic, and every time I'd get to that door, my sister's room was at the end of the corridor. Every time I get to that door, I'd run past it, because I could see something in my head, and I didn't know what it was. I was a kid. But anyway, you think you're mad. I thought I was mad. I thought that I was crazy. I thought one day I'm going to end up in, and I used to think this in my head when I was a kid. When I was a little kid, I used to think, oh my God, I'm going to end up in a bloody mental institution. I'm going to end up in padded cells and all this stuff, because I thought I was mad. Anyway, it turns out the thing that I was seeing in my head, my mum only told me this about 3 years ago. The house was so big that when they moved into that house, my mum and my dad, they had lodgers. So in the attic, there's 2 bedrooms in the attic, and they had a lodger up there. So mum finished work, whatever, she'd cooked dinner, and she went up to get the lodger, and the lodger had hung himself and died, obviously. So when I was a kid, I mean, that was years before we were born. As I said, my oldest brother's in his 50s, you know, so, and I'm 37. So I don't know how to tell you this story. Anyway, so she told me just a few years ago, because I told her, I said, Mum, you know, when I was little, I said, I used to think I was crazy, you know. I said, because I said, you know, that cellar in that attic, I said, I couldn't, I don't know what it were, but like weird, you know, I couldn't. And she said, oh, you know, someone hung himself, you know, maybe. And it was kind of at that point that I thought, you know what, I wasn't crazy. I just always was, and, you know, I was just always sensitive, you know, to things. Obviously, all my life, that I'd always been sensitive. And I just didn't realise that we won't go there. But anyway, I always thought I was crazy. After that conversation, I was like, oh my God, I'm not crazy. I've just been sensitive. Started to engage, blah, 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 blah. Mindfulness, mindfulness, mindfulness. Reiki, Reiki, Reiki. Tarot, tarot, tarot. Here I am. Okay? So, the point is, you could have felt something similar. Not that you're sensitive, or not in specific in my example, but what I'm saying is, if you have felt like, oh my God, I'm a crazy person, or oh my God, I always think like this, or oh my God, I'm anxious, oh my God, it's as if what you realize, your awareness changes, and it's that change in awareness that's bringing about new experiences for you, and not only new experiences, but a new way of thinking, and you're going to feel more secure in your mind after this time period. Okay, I digress, Leo. I do apologize. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I will see you all again at some point with another reading. Okay, keep an eye out for the "you need to hear this now" reading, because those readings are what you need to hear now, and the collective. Anyway, all right, my darlings, I digress. Have a wonderful time period. Have a happy birthday, Leo, and I'll see you all again at some point with a new reading. All right, take care, my darlings. Bye.